So are they building a spice store?
No, I'll show it. So you see that shed right there? They built on top of it. They added a higher.
Oh, look at that. That's cool. They build. Oh.
Yeah. I usually get just a few people, but so basically I'm gonna have you field questions.
Sure.
This is under my own personal account.
Yeah.
I'm up to about I'm about to hit 2,000 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah, I'm at.
Look at that.
Yeah.
1993 is the year I graduated.
Nice. I was 10 years old. No, it's nothing bad.
No, the fun part is 1992 is the year a new friend of mine was born, and I'm like 16 years of age difference.
This is the guy I listen to.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
Your video.
Let's go back. Let's go YouTube. No, it's fine.
You're good?
Come on. I don't know why it's not doing.
I was like, I thought it just said that you were.
It did. Let's go YouTube Studio. I've been doing this a bunch lately, so I've had to get the hang of how to do this. Like this whole like.
There, is that it?
That is it. But it's not like. Oh, there it is. See? Finally, going to start actually having. Oh, there's people watching already. Hello, you beautiful people. Cool. Hello. I think I have to start going. The process of getting the stream to go correctly is amazing. So for those of you, one person that's in the stream at the moment, and I will probably do several times based off of last week's session. I actually have someone here with me today. Very nice woman, Angelique. The person that's actually in the stream at the moment. She's going like a couple people as we go on. When there's, if you notice, there gets to be about 5 people. That's about. Oh, if you scroll up. Oh, there you go.
It's kind of cracklings to it, but it seems like maybe it's just in the cord or something.
Yeah, it really. I got it.
I just want to make sure.
I also need to get my headphones because those ones were not that good.
I think you.
Can you hear me now? We're getting a new setup going, so I have someone that can ask questions for you guys when you actually put them in chat. So, yeah. There's about a minute latency between what you see on screen and what like actually happens here live. So you're seeing about a minute behind what actually is happening. Ooh, I have 3 people today. Please come in the chat. I want you guys to say hi to my friend Angelique that's helping me out today. She'll be asking the questions. I'll be doing the state, but for the most part, I'm going to try to remain in the state as long as I can. So
able to witness and to hear.
Here, come over. Come on over.
Hello.
Come to where you're on the screen. Come over.
On the screen. Okay. I thought that was not part of the So it was quite fascinating to be able to experience with his connection, his ability to. It was quite fascinating. He was able to pick up on some of the things I wasn't asking because, you know, it's about new things, but it was very reassuring to have that and that energy around it. Really.
But I know you can't speak at the moment because she's kind of off screen. Scoot down.
This way?
So she's going to be helping us out today by asking the questions. I'm going to try to stay in the channeling state as much as possible. I will stop the actual stream, like the actual thing when I need to. But for the most part, I'm going to try to remain in state as the thing goes. So we're able to get a much cleaner connection.
And I will do my best to answer questions and help pass those questions along effectively.
What are they saying? I'm gonna she'll pop in as we go, but I just want to introduce you to you guys first. Oh, Kobe.
Okay, what am I? So this is all brand new.
Yeah, you're just over here. All you just have to do. How is that?
The audio sounds crackly. Yep, can't hear. The audio is and welcome. So I think audio is before I took the headphones off my neck.
I'm going to. It's about a minute between the actual thing. I'm going to restart. Just give me a moment. I'm not going to stop the stream, but I will stop the software.
Well, I was wondering if it has become better. When it says the audio is peaking, what does that mean?
It means it's redlining in the actual audio software. Yeah. Just give me a second, guys. I'm going to restart the software. One moment. How is that? It should still be the same settings as last week. I'm still just getting the hang of this stuff myself. This is all brand new.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Now.
Y'all good?
The audio a little bit better? Okay, all better.
Testing. How does that sound? That also could be the chair that I'm sitting on because I need to get a new stools specifically for doing this. Yeah, that's a bad idea. How about this? I'll start the second part of the transmission, and then it probably should improve as we go. I'm going to need to invest in some more sound equipment. How do we do this? Let's start with the second part of the session, and then we'll go.
Sure. Now you said you recognized the person who popped on.
Yeah, her name is Kobe.
Does that show up on the
No, that's just okay.
So let's go.
All right. So keep in mind, for anyone that watches the future, this is already online. I'm not posting anything that's not already up. And also, if you'd like to watch the thing without me, or you want to buy the transmission yourself, go to bashar.org, support them. They have 20, almost 40 years worth of like transmissions on there. So there we go. Here's the second part.
Actions of our government have alien vehicles that they've reverse engineered.
To some degree, yes. They're not necessarily as sophisticated as you might think.
Okay. And that they actually go out and do contact to make it look like it's extraterrestrials.
Sometimes some programs like that have been experimented with. Again, not as often as you think.
The question I have is, if you have an encounter, how can you tell the difference between an actual ET versus a government impersonator?
Oh, you'll know the difference. It's in the energy. This doesn't mean that you won't be feeling fear in an ET encounter, but it's a very different kind of energy because the fear is coming from your own negative belief systems about your relationship to what's going on. And you can begin to sense, if you stay calm, and in a loving state, you will be capable of discerning exactly who you're dealing with.
Okay, because it's interesting because one of the supposed intents behind their program
Yes.
is to stoke fear.
I understand, but remember that they're not as powerful as they would like you to believe they are. And in fact, their greatest tactic is getting you to believe they're more powerful than they are. So information is their chief tactic, to get you to think that they can do all sorts of things that they can't actually really do, so that you will be in fear and be under their control, because you're giving them your power by buying into the mythology that they're wrapping themselves in, that they're more powerful than they are.
Feel free to ask questions in the chat during this whole part. Like throughout the whole thing, please drop questions in, and I'll feel free to answer, and I'll make it a point to answer them as soon as they come in.
You understand how this works?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All right. So
don't give in to the fear.
Okay.
Is that what you prefer to experience?
The fear, no.
Well, then it doesn't much matter really what they choose to do, because if you're on a different vibratory plane, you can't be affected by whatever it is they choose to do anyway. So who cares?
Okay.
Let them play their game. They're playing it on a planet that's different than the one that you live on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Please read the question.
How are the hybrid children created with us?
Energetic template. Also physically taken. And sometimes physically taken to teach them to acclimate, as well as the hybrid children themselves do not understand completely how you all live.
So
The many of the connections that the Greys made when they were here, and the connections, as well as the agreements that they fulfilled, they're no longer in the portion of the stage where they are taking people for fertility experiments, as well as impregnating and creating hybrids that way. They have enough of a They have enough of a hybrid process going at this point. They no longer need to abduct people. They would physically implant and impregnate people in the past, but we are past that stage, given that we are approaching open contact. Now it is more at the point of connection and also acclimatization as the process moves forward, because we are no longer at the stage of needing to do such things. They would physically take people onto the ships, but that's not the reason why they take people on the ships anymore. Most of the connections that you feel now are more of an acclimatization process so that they can understand how to do things such as eat food, as well as the manners. So if they do not learn these things, they would be too foreign to you, and you would act in fear, much in the way that the man is speaking to the Bashar. Let's continue.
There are many parallel realities going on all around you. Choose the one you prefer. You can observe what you don't prefer, but you can observe it neutrally. Just because you observe something you don't prefer doesn't mean it has to affect you unless you agree to be affected. Correct?
Okay.
So think about that and choose the vibrational state you prefer while you might be neutrally observing the little games that others might be trying to play. And see them for what they are, immature games.
Also, if you remain in a state of fear, you will attract more people along that vibration. Because like attracts like. What you put out is what you get back. Because the channel is reaching a cohesive vibrational match with us, we are now able to come through him in a way that he was not able to understand before, or able to reach that connection because he was held down by a state of fear and doubt in who he was. His connection to his self and what he attracts into his life has changed, and now we can facilitate this connection. We will continue.
Games based on fear-based beliefs. It has nothing to do with the world that you prefer, correct?
Correct.
Then there you go. Does this help you?
Yes. Thank you. And my wife and I will be out tonight, so we hope to see your ship.
Well, you can just keep hoping.
As at the time that the person spoke this question to the Bashar, we do not typically bring our ships into your atmosphere. We are too high of a vibration for you currently to be able to be close to us. As we act as a balancing element for you and your people, it will grow closer and closer as we meet a cohesive vibration. At this time, you may see some extraterrestrial ships, but many of the ones that you have been seeing in past years with clear intent and also clear view are ships from your government that are trying to bring you into a state of fear before you become actual contact with us and our vibration more fully. But do not remain in that state for when you meet us in person, it will drive those things to the surface in order for you to actually not be able to connect with us fully in a calm state and have the full connection and the full contact.
All right, thank you very much.
And we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If you have, feel free to stop it and also ask the question that's in the chat box.
Are you ready? What is my first name and civilization that is relevant to me? And this is posted.
As we read it, the vibrational name that you asked for, Nanamoya, you have many civilizations that you connect to. No one particular one stands out. You are being human right now. So I would say human. No negativity attached to it. Use this name for now, and the connection will change as you grow into a more fully cohesive manner. Please continue.
Hello.
And a you good day.
A lot of us here would like to meet our star family soon, like within 2 years. When
My, what a calendar you have.
when do you think we can meet them?
When the timing is appropriate.
Thank you.
Not before, but not later then. Don't focus on the time. Focus on the timing.
The timing for most of you to meet more and more of your star family is sooner than you think, but not before you're ready. For you to encounter more of your star family, you will need to raise your frequency, as Bashar has said many times, in order to connect to them. The first interactions most of you will have had is telepathically and also in the dream state. Please continue.
By working on being yourself as fully as you can, acting on your highest passion, raising your frequency to become the person with whom such a meeting would be more appropriate. Yes?
Yes, makes
That's
sense.
how you determine the timing. It's not about the time, it's about the timing. So when the timing is appropriate, things like that can happen. Does that help?
It does, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Because the conduit has reached a point where this connection is appropriate, we are able to facilitate the connection, and also he's come in resonance with us. So he's become the person that has agreed to have this experience, much in the way that many of you are now approaching the time and space and connection point for you to have more experiences. Just remain present. Please continue.
Now, we have said and still perceive that a general window in which more open contact can begin to occur is still the window of your years 2025 to 2033. That's the highest probability window in which the beginnings of open contact can most likely begin to occur. So sometime in that window, to some degree, depending upon where any individual is at with the idea of having those kinds of encounters.
Caveat. Because you have raised your vibration collectively, the time window has moved up and begins the beginning stages of contact will begin closer to the end of this year and into the beginning of next year. You have given yourself more timing and more time as a collective in order to gradually adjust and move into the frequency that comes along with open contact. That is why the Bashar has changed what he said. Now we move into a time of energetic opening to facilitate the connection between you and your higher mind. This is one of the reasons we are coming through the channel now to help those who wish to participate in the understanding that comes along with having those experiences.
It will determine where you fall in that window.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. I also would like some kind of confirmation.
Oh, all right. You are confirmed. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Kiss my ring.
I will. Here we go. Thank you for that. Several years ago, probably starting in around maybe 2012, I had started seeing several things that
Such
Uh,
as?
2012, December 21st, was when you guys shifted in frequency, and as you guys approach and have gone forward over the last almost 11 years, you are going through the undoing process of letting go of the ability to be in third density as you've shifted into fourth density that you carried with yourself inside of third density. This is the difference between and why you've been going through the intense experience of what you emotionally and collectively have been taking a deep breath through the pandemic years because you needed that time in a positive way to deal with the junk you've been carrying around with you for thousands of years.
No comment. a reminder that anyone who joins can feel free to ask a question, and please do feel free to take the opportunity and ask the questions that you ask.
What is the question?
It was a reminder to anyone who wants to please do so. There was no question at the moment, but there was a pause and a concern.
Such as I would like take pictures with my phone and I would see something that wasn't there.
Well, but it is there, obviously.
Yeah. So is this like parallel
Doesn't
realities?
mean it's not there just because you can't see it.
Sure, but I could see it through like a cell phone.
Yes, we understand.
And other
with the
people
aid of
could
your
too.
technology,
Yeah.
yes.
Is that like a parallel reality, or is that a different
it
dimension?
can again be many things.
Yeah.
That's the simplest answer, and in a sense, generally true, since anything that you would consider to be not quite part of your reality would be generally a parallel reality. But yes, it can be many things. It can be spirit. It can be literally seeing someone in a parallel reality. It can be the idea of a projection of consciousness from another dimensional level. It can be something you would equate to a ship in energetic form. It can be many different kinds of things. You have to take it kind of on a case-by-case basis, depending on the circumstance.
Okay. And also, in the same sense, at that time, I was living in, say, the Bay Area, California.
The Bay Area, California.
Yes.
You
And
said to say that.
I was living in the Bay Area.
Oh, all right.
I no longer live there. But if I look at people's posts on, say, Facebook,
Yes.
and I could see in their posts, I could still see things that I guess normally other people wouldn't see.
All right, all right. Look,
So-
this is the natural evolution of your senses going into fourth density. You will start to see things first, perhaps, sometimes with the aid of your technology to kickstart you, but you will start to see things with your senses, hear things with your senses, and so on and so forth, that are all around you all the time, but are usually invisible to you when you exist only on a certain level of frequency. But as you raise your vibration, your senses become more acute. You're capable of perceiving things that exist around you that are heretofore invisible. This is a natural part of the evolution of the raising of.
There are many things around you that you do not perceive at this time. They become more visible as we approach the window.
Question. A person asks, what is my higher self's advice at this time?
Around what subject?
That is a good question. It does not specify.
What have you been dreaming about the last 3 nights? Your higher mind, as we perceive it now, is preparing you to move forward. What are the symbols that you have seen in your dreams in the last 3 nights? Specifically, that you can remember.
Currently, the querent is struggling to remember.
Insistence drop the insistence. The insistence is blocking the things that you insistence that things have to look a certain way. Much in the same way that the channel is blocking the connection. When he dropped the insistence and integrated with himself, it created an opening and a connection for us to begin in this way. This is why he was given the idea to start stringing Bashar, to give him a moment to be able to connect, because he was given the idea because that was the correct way for him to receive the connection. If you cannot remember clearly, allow yourself to daydream and pay attention to the daydreams, because that will be the answer.
Of your frequency of consciousness. So get used to it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Also, I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, but Nebulu? It's a.
You're talking about Nibiru?
There you go. Yes.
Yes.
What does that have to do, or the relation? What is that going to happen with us anytime soon?
No.
No,
No.
it's not.
No.
Okay. Very good. Perfect. Thank you very much.
You are revisiting the idea that it represents energetically in terms of realizing and awakening to your connection to the ancient extraterrestrials you refer to as the Anu or Anunnaki. Being that you contain their genetics because they were responsible for transforming Homo erectus, Homo habilis into Homo sapien with their own genes. Do you understand?
I think so.
There is a naturally evolved hominid on your planet. It grew naturally on your planet, and there were several branches of this hominid. The extraterrestrial beings that visited your world that were looking for helpers for a certain task actually decided to infuse some of their genetics into one branch of those naturally evolved hominids to create Homo sapiens to be more like them so they could communicate with you and basically tell you what they needed you to do. Now, this was not necessarily an approved thing by all of the Anunnaki. And so eventually they were told they needed to leave and leave you to evolve on your own as a truly sentient species. Nevertheless,
we are also an offshoot of you and the Greys and the Anunnaki and many other extraterrestrial species. We are you. Just downline. The connection you seek and why we are here is to facilitate the connection that you are calling out for. The Anu in their previous form do not exist as you see them now or then. The connection is still within you.
There's a question. Did the Meldak and also have any manipulation by the Anunnaki?
Meldak, no. Meldak had more of a shorter species that was much stockier, less like human, physicality, but much thicker skin, and their connection to source was much more locked up. They maintained the idea of the Orion energy. When that planet destroyed itself, it migrated to Mars. Then when Earth was ready to, after Mars was destroyed, the energy infused itself into the planet Earth around 6,000 years ago. You are literally the reincarnated spirits of that planet. But you are the end of those cycles. Continue.
You are now awakening to the fact that you do contain some of that genetic material. Those markers are opening, and you're experiencing more of the qualities that the Anunnaki themselves originally had. So you are...
The beings on Mars were more reptilian in nature. You do not physically contain the genetics of those beings, but you do also contain the souls, much like many of our people are among your people today. We are family. Is there any more questions?
We have more excitement at being able to experience.
Please continue.
You are revisiting the concept of Nibiru as a cycle, but the body, the physical body itself, is nowhere near your planet at this point.
Very good. Thank
Does
you
that
so
help
much.
you?
Yes, it does.
By the way, once again, a reminder, had they not tinkered with your genetic material back then and created Homo sapien, the branch they did not tinker with went on to evolve into what you call Sasquatch.
Huh?
That's the natural evolution of the hominid on your planet. And had they not tinkered with you, you would all be Sasquatch. You understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
As the Bashar just mentioned, the Sasquatch, one of them would like to come forward and speak for a moment. One moment. We recognize and see you. Some of us are here.
There is a question. Does he like the movie Harry and the Hendersons?
You have never seen.
Fair enough.
I need to take a break for a second. I know Like that was a complete like when that shifted over to the facilitating the connection between the Sasquatch and that was a whole different sort of energy. I was like just in there. It was like it wasn't heavy, but it was just kind of like it was a different sort of energy that was just kind of like in there, and I was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm trying to I'm doing my best to connect, like stay connected the whole time, but like I had to stop that for a second because that was different.
I wonder if we could try switching the microphone over just a little bit, see if that's easier.
How's that?
Uh,
Hold on, it takes 5 minutes to. Hey guys, how you doing? This is something completely different. Like
let's see how it goes.
Look, I'm really looking forward to having more of this connection. Just going for 10 minutes. This is kind of a lot for me. Like I've been able to maintain the connection for maybe a minute or 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes. This is a lot for.
We got some really feedback that you were doing really well.
Thank you guys.
And the direct quote is, "You are awesome, doing good." Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Like I'm actually kind of lost at the moment. I know I haven't played that much of it because I keep stopping, and this is what we normally do. But like, well, this is this is really cool. The connection is like a lot more. This is
It's pretty intense to be around, to be in proximity of. There's a lot of vibration, a lot of energy.
Yeah. This is
Oh my goodness.
Everyone, please give it up for Angelique, the one who's helping me right now. If
Hi.
Oh,
This is
like my eyes are
fantastic.
kind of watery right now. Like this is different. That
How when you were Sasquatch?
ask the question again.
Okay. How did it feel when you were switching and able to connect with Sasquatch? How was that different?
So the Sassani, that person's coming through. It's a much more like it feels foreign now. The Sasquatch energy as it channeled through me was much more like if you actually go back and look at the video as it goes, my actual I could feel my body change on how it was holding itself. Where this people.
I'm very glad that you found help, and I'm glad to be a helper because it's pretty awesome to. And I believe that it is incredibly exciting.
Is it a little loud?
Let's see. If that helps.
Turning it up or down? Up or down, people?
Yeah, we got to work out this audio stuff. So anybody who's got suggestions, please.
Because I can change this. It's not a problem, but I just need like what does it sound like to you?
So.
Hold on a sec. Let me restart. The software is.
I'll unplug it and plugging it back in always helps.
Let's restart. It takes a second. Hold on a second.
Connection. So you want to check that on the mic itself.
No, that's all in. One moment. I'm going to restart. Can you hear me now? Do 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 do. How's that?
Let's see here. Nothing yet.
By the way, everyone, I'm just getting the hang of all this connection stuff, so I'm.
So, Lola Boy exactly, and pretty much the same. Oh, man.
I'm still like I said, I'm still getting the hang of all this, so bear with me. Oh, I actually feel.
Oh no, where did it go? There's no way. Okay, I do hear some of that, so I think I understand.
I
Are you hearing it?
I can't hear any of that stuff. That's why I have. That's why I'm on this end of things. Like, I'd have to have that also to be able to like hear it.
We don't want to have the feedback.
So for future reference, when I'm doing this stuff, I'm gonna try this. Does that help? I'm still just getting the hang of how to do all this streaming stuff, so you're just gonna have to do it. I'm gonna also make sure that I get like a soundboard.
Oh wait.
Is that better?
Seems kind of in.
I think it could also.
Sounds better if it's farther away from you.
Okay. How's that? I should have done mode late for the stream.
Let's give that a shot.
How are you guys doing out there?
Are there any questions?
Are there any other questions for you guys? Because you give me some more like time to like get into the flow of this. I'll try to drop back in and let's just.
So the point is you're killing your robot self.
For now, like, so I've heard. So this is just so you guys can. So the personality that you guys see with Daryl and Bashar, or Tyler and Ryo, that's when they've reached the point where they're kind of like overlaid and it's more of a mix between the personalities. I'm still just at the beginning stage of just kind of getting the hang of how to do this stuff. Personalities is reaching the point where it's kind of merging. So it can create that third personality that for now that's just kind of like where I'm at. I'm not far enough along to where you're getting the full personality like with Daryl and Bashar and Tyler and Ryo or Rohan or any of the other Sassanis that have come through. So right now it's robotic because it's I'm not fully there yet, and that's kind of what I'm doing with all these sessions is I'm practicing and being in that state because I can tell you I am now kind of in a lightheaded state after staying in it for that length of time. So I'm still getting the hang of this stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start the video back up and I'm going to try to drop back in and yeah.
By the way, had they not tinkered with you, you also would not have evolved the concept of religion in the way that you did. You would simply have, as you're rediscovering, a concept of a natural relationship to creation rather than intermediaries. It was because many of them made you believe they were gods and allowed you to worship them that the entire basis of religion was created on your planet. You wouldn't have it if it wasn't for their existence in your lives back then, about 500, 300,000 years ago. Yes, it is. And again, we're talking holographic history, because there are many versions of this. You are evolving to a point where you will have a version that will serve you in the best possible way, which is one of the reasons why, when open contact actually does occur, one of the gifts you will be given is what you might think of as your true history on Earth. All of it. All the missing pieces. Everything. And then you will get to decide which...
We have a question. Does that mean that Sasquatch has no religion, or religion as we know
No. Their religion or spirituality is nature.
it? Is that what we would consider elemental?
Elementals are something else entirely.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Which parts you relate to, and how you can allow yourself to be the people that you prefer to be, that would be representative of the kind of people that would have been created by the true history. That is in alignment with who you truly are. That's what we mean by true history. Not that there is only one history that is true, but that it is the history that is true for who you prefer to be, vibrationally. Does this make sense? Yes. All right.
Pause. Another thing that you will discover moving forward, even past the true history that we give you, more caches of the Atlanteans will come and be found in various places around the world. And they will give you also corroborating and a congruent history that will match, as well as add to your understanding of what it means to be human and what was possible in things in the past as you know it. Please continue.
And so?
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I had emailed a picture. It was like a phenomena that occurred in a picture where I had like a golden ring around my head.
Yes.
And sort of an overlapping entity bounced off of the golden ring. Could you explain that to me? That's one of the purposes I even discovered you, that this phenomenon, this picture happened.
Yes. Well, you are seeing the idea of the crown chakra. You understand? You're manifesting visibly the energy of the crown chakra in that image. Does this make sense to you? Or
Yes.
are you drawing a blank?
I do have some information on it, on a crown.
Stop
but
for
if you
one
can
moment.
explain
As we are quasi-physical and made of light, we know that all of you are pure light. The only thing that blocks your vision is the fear that you will lose who you are in the expression of what you are currently going through. But this is not so. You are unable to lose who and what you are, and when you grow outside of the physical form, you know this for sure, to a higher degree than you know while you're in the physical form. When you're in the physical form, the ego consciousness allows you to forget yourself, so you know yourself from a different perspective. So you can never truly lose who you are. Please continue.
Further.
Well, the crown chakra is in the shape of a ring. Like a halo. Where do you think the image of the halo comes from?
Yes.
That's where it comes from. People that had the ability to actually see the energy of the crown chakra saw a ring around and above the head. And that's the way the energy flows, in the form of a torus. Now, above that, you have the form of an inverted cone, pointy at the bottom and expanding up to the top, because that's your connection through the crown chakra to the non-physical higher mind. But the first manifestation from the higher mind down to the receiver of the physical mind is that it manifests as a torus, a ring around your head. So, as we said earlier, through certain technological devices or by your own senses, you're going to start more and more of you seeing these kinds of manifestations of the energy that represent the energy systems of your consciousness.
What's the significance of the entity?
If you could see the channel's crown chakra at this moment, it would be more of the color of what the Sassani color is. The black triangle on black background with blue shining out from the center. You would see that his crown chakra, as he channels right now, would look much more like our contact symbol, like the Bashar has shown. But it changes depending on which personality you're channeling in that moment. Please continue.
Bouncing off it.
The idea of peering into the level where you can manifest visibility to those kinds of energies can also give you the ability to peer into the dimensions of spirit, and therefore you might have caught a glimpse of one of your guides hanging around, saying cheese.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does that help you?
Yes, yes.
All right.
When I was younger, I had experiences with basically extraterrestrials,
Yes.
but we didn't know what they were. We just thought
Yes, yes, yes.
there were things that just lived in the woods and stuff.
Well, there are things that live in the woods. Nevertheless.
Well, unnatural things. Anyway.
Everything is natural. Everything is natural. There's actually no such thing as supernatural. It's just the nature you don't know about yet. Everything is natural.
Can you give me any insight on myself and the experiences we had?
Well, you did.
We are showing the channel what the inside of our ship looks like. Okay, so the inside of the ship was actually pretty cool looking. I know what, if you looked at what the description that Daryl talks about of the ships that the triangle-shaped ship that Bashar's scout ship, it's pretty luminous on the inside. It's very clean and everything's just very luminous. It almost feels like there's light coming off of every surface. And there's not like artwork and everything everywhere, but it's just like, and you don't see a lot. It's like this big open area, and he just showed, like, I just saw this image in my head of what it looked like inside the ship. It was kind of cool. Like, it flashed for a second. There were like some of these little pod things, but for the most part, like, I think that was machinery, but for the most part, it was just this very clean on the inside and also pretty cool looking.
I have a question. What was like one of the predominant colors, or what were some of the predominant colors? Being an artist, I'm always fascinated, so I'm curious.
That was, and there was just kind of like white light with kind of like this yellowy white light that I saw inside of the, like, on the surface of everything. You could actually see controls that he just kind of like put his hands on and just kind of like did a couple moves. I don't know what it said. Yeah. Give me a second. This is weird. Like, it's weird right now, but I'm still getting used to it. I'm like, yeah. I actually feel really energetic right now. My friend Audrey is outside right now, and I'm just trying to. She's reading off your questions for me. So if you guys still want to still keep asking questions as we go, because I'm more than happy to like keep doing that. I'm feeling goofy right now. How does it feel to you being in the room with me?
It's pretty cool, actually. The energy that just kind of flows and just emanates, it's quite intriguing. Just questions may come up, feeling that response flow through. It's fascinating. I'm enjoying it.
This is cool. All right, let's get back to it. What was the first thing? Give me a second. Hold on. They were real people, but they were channels of their time. They brought information forward, so it would become part of your collective. The understanding has been given to many people over the years, gradually, to help elevate your understanding and move you forward to the point where we could actually have this connection as well as these different channelings. So the answer is yes.
Have some extraterrestrial connective encounters. And you have encountered other things as well that might be called nature beings, nature spirits.
Well, how would you know if you've ever been abducted? What would be an indicator of it?
An indicator of it would be asking if you've ever been abducted.
Okay, have I ever been abducted?
Thank you.
Many of you that are here with us today, as the person who just asked the question, all but one. Some physically, most of you on an energetic level, but generally speaking, all of you have had connection with extraterrestrials in some way, shape, or form. Please continue.
Have I ever been abducted?
Y E S.
Why, yes.
Y-E-S.
Oh. Never mind. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
I thought you were asking me why. I'm like, why?
I know. That's why we did it that way.
One more I got. I had a few experiences in my life where I think that I died or I should have died. Like, I didn't
In
really...
many cases, people do. And you have...
We have a fun comment that they're all wondering who is the one who is the exception of the group in the audience.
Read the list of names.
Trying to find it. I've never done this before, so
Just read off the comments.
We have Acceptable Person, Lola Bowles, Val Madness. Let's see. Oh, Lola Bola, sorry. There also appears to be Nancy Marino.
Nancy.
Thank you.
As we read it, all of you have extraterrestrial energies, but the only one that has not been actually taken in some way, shape, or form is Nancy. As we read it at this time.
Thank you.
Have had at least one, as we can read your energy. The idea is that, again, you're always given a choice, and many times people will actually die, but be given a choice to continue the life in a parallel reality so similar that they think they just escaped somehow mysteriously, but they actually did die.
No, but this was not a mysterious escape. This was almost impossible. I jumped into a wedge wave. Into a wedge wave in
yes,
Newport
that's
Beach.
what we mean.
Okay.
It seems like it couldn't be possible. What's the mystery? It couldn't be possible that I could have escaped death. The answer is, most likely, you didn't. But you were given a choice to continue, and you chose it. So sometimes you will remember the idea that seemed impossible for you to escape, and sometimes you won't. It just depends on what you choose.
Can you give any information on the Edgar Cayce Radiac? Have you ever heard of a Radiac device?
Define.
It's like an impedance device. You know, Edgar Cayce in readings,
we understand Edgar Cayce.
He recommended a couple thousand readings using what is called and referred to as a Radiac.
Generally speaking, yes, we're talking about the understanding that everything is based on resonance, on frequency, on vibration, and therefore you can make adjustments in the health of the body by finding the frequencies and imbuing or immersing a person in the frequencies that represent their natural state of health. You can also diagnose this way by understanding the different frequencies.
The conduit, the channel, has found this interesting for years. The machines that are modern day, that must represent and resemble what Cayce was speaking of. Would be scalar energy machines, a Rife machine, a med bed, which is actually coming to your reality now. You can look them up for yourself, but these devices actually exist. More technology will come soon. Please continue.
Of different kinds of diseases, like a map, and reading them with such devices, and then tuning the device in such a way as to mitigate that frequency and bring that area back into alignment.
Yes. Yes, that's the way he explained it too,
Yes.
to some extent.
So therefore, this is a technology that we understand many people on your planet are beginning to experiment with, and it will improve in what you call your future. Yes, and so? There's a reason for you asking this?
Yes.
Is this something you're interested in pursuing?
No, well, I use it now. Is that why I have the like supernatural experiences that I do have?
Have what?
Like everything's
what?
everything's natural.
Thank you. We are becoming selective.
In the coming years, this will become the way that healing is done, no longer by opening people up or requiring surgeries.
Selectively deaf to certain terms.
You're really funny.
So we've been told.
We have a question. The person says, I have night terrors about dying, and what does this mean?
Usually, the night terrors are memories of a counterpart of when they transitioned. They are there to tell you something and to let you know the connection that you have, that you are connecting to. I would ask, what is happening in the dreams, in the night terrors? If it's the wall of water, typically that is an Atlantean connection. If you more recognize the actual connections as being just connections and memories from those incarnations, if you are asking for connections and trying to regain memories, view as that imaginary connection or that dream connection as the memories of those lives that you need to gain in order to gain connection to, and also the experience of those incarnations to have a more active connection to that person that existed or exists, because everything is all simultaneously, existence in this lifetime, in all this time and space. But it's just all different frequencies that maintain, and also a cohesive manner that you, because if you view them from a positive way of a connection of yours that's trying to communicate with you and give an understanding of what you're going through currently, you can move past the night terror portion of things in order to actually not maintain the fear, because the fear is there to actually teach you something. If the night terror is there to actually teach you something that you're not listening to, because that connection is saying and recognizing something part of you that it wants to tell you, but it's there for you to listen to, which is why it's coming forward in such an abrupt way, because it's something that you're not listening to prior to this time, or you've been listening to, but coming from a state of fear.
The person says that they have been suffocated.
Then that's how you died. But what else is the person trying to teach you? Have you also been not able to speak? Many of those connections where you have dreams of not being able to speak could have carried on from that incarnation, a fear that carries over through your connection. And you're working through that theme right now in a way because you were not able to speak in that lifetime, so you're learning to speak in this lifetime.
So they have stated that yes, and they've not been able to speak as well. So
So recognize the connection and recognize that that person is not you, because you are playing out the positive aspect of that experience. Because if you are able to speak and it's giving you encouragement to speak up, when normally you would hold your actual feeling down or your experience or your voice, what does speaking up look like to you?
mhm. Just waiting for a response. Talking freely about why I'm feeling and what I'm thinking about. So it sounds the and what they're feeling seems to be the predominant concern.
You don't need to maintain that connection anymore. It was a fear because it is not a habit anymore. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with your experience? There's
I have a question. Because the night terrors reflect suffocation, and that is inhibiting their freedom to communicate currently, what are the areas where they can meditate and feel free releasing the suffocation terrors?
traditionally the throat chakra, but also draw the energy down to the heart chakra, because not being able to speak from the heart is suffocating.
Thank you.
Will this do?
So, same response yet. He said thank you.
Avea, please continue.
But really,
Yes.
you should see how many of us are always laughing at you.
Yeah, I can picture that.
You and all of you are some of the greatest entertainment in the galaxy.
Yes, it's true.
Nevertheless, follow your passion and experiment. Yes?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Know that if your voice is being stifled, you are now be given an opportunity to speak up to those around you, to the things that you fear. It will be hard at first, but as you speak up, much in the same way the channel was stifled many times in his early years from the family he chose, he is now learning to speak up in a different way and not care what anyone else says or thinks or feels, but speaks his truth by allowing a connection where he is acting like a long distance telephone for an extraterrestrial.
We have some support on the message board here that one person is suggesting that the other explore writing poetry as they learn to exercise their voice and embrace growing from and leaving behind suffocation. And I think that's beautiful. I just wanted to offer my support as well.
Avea.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
So it's about 12:30. I have a couple of questions from Ustream listeners.
All
and
right.
If you'd like, we can pull a few more names also.
We will see.
Okay. First question had to do with the Anunnaki. You mentioned that we saw them as gods.
Yes.
And so the person wanted to know, what are the qualities of the Anunnaki that humans have?
The idea of inherent psychic abilities, telepathic abilities, the idea of shifting into the gamma frequency, the idea of out-of-body projection relatively easily, and many other traits, including certain kinds of relationships with or connections to vibrations that have to do with other star systems. Does that make sense?
Yes, I was also
Much in the way that you had the Anunnaki encode themselves into your DNA, they integrated many different types of civilizations into their own DNA, which is why they vary in shape and size so drastically. They are what you would call also a hybrid civilization, much in the way that we are. They have reptilian DNA in them, as well as what you would recognize as Lyran and Sirius DNA in some small varieties, and many other types of DNA that have not been revealed at this time. This is also why your people have a connection to genetically engineering, which has been done many different times in your history and show up as a myth. This is why you have a connection and a predilection and a connection and a desire to shape and grow the things around you, whether it be plant, animal, or even yourselves. Please continue.
also thinking of like our propensity to do genetic manipulation.
Yes, that is one of the traits that you learned. It is part of evolution that sometimes certain species will actually evolve another species. That's part of evolution. Some species are designed to do that. You have, in a sense, picked up some of that trait from your parents, if you wish to call them that.
We have a question. We have a question from Val. What is the name of my Sassani counterpart so I can get in contact with him?
The name for now that he passes on that most reasonable function right now. You have 5 connections in our civilization. But the one for you to start connecting to that he gave, which means the hero's breath, for now, he will give you a different connection name, a different vibrational frequency for you to actually use. Time, meditate on this, and the connection will become stronger. And at that time, he will give you a different vibrational name in order to facilitate functional connection.
What other things are it's something to do with our DNA turning on and
Well, yes, the markers are within you, and because you're elevating your frequency, now those markers are turning on to allow you to experience more fluidity in space and time, in much the same way that they did.
And they purposely suppressed the markers, right?
Yes, they didn't need that in their helpers. But nevertheless, they're there.
Right.
And now they're turning on.
So who made the decision to have our DNA turned on, our markers turned on?
Well, it's a matter of synchronous encounters with beings such as the Greys that impact you or immerse you in other dimensional energies, which would then naturally turn those markers on.
So it wasn't a conscious decision, like it's time for the humans to have their markers turned on?
Yes, but that conscious decision.
As the Bashar has said in prior transmissions, when all 6 hybrid races come back together, they will create the 7th. Many of the markers he speaks of will create the Anu Het, because they will express and end the cycle that began 500,000 years ago or more that created your species and also the Greys in this way. This is ultimately what will come and change into all the species that is human, whether it's Sassani, the Shayael, Anu Het, the beings that are referred to as the Anu Het will become the end of the process. But as we speak now, that is many years apart from this current time. Please continue.
It came from the humans, your collective consciousness.
And without those markers turned on, what are the effects for the humans at this point?
I believe you are very familiar with those effects.
Yeah, like the lack of understanding about psychic ability.
Lack of compassion, lack of empathy, warfare, fear.
So basically, by the markers not being fully turned on, what's happened is that humans have a degree of suffering because they don't feel their deep connection to the cosmos and to everything.
Yes.
I know, that's very interesting.
Yes, it is. But now you are turning them on.
Thank goodness.
You are welcome.
And the other question was, what are the qualities of the Anu? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any updates on the fall of 2016?
I believe you are in the fall of 2016.
The great change that we all... One moment. Everything changed in the fall of 2016. that it was when Trump was elected to reveal to the things that you were hiding from yourselves? This is what he was referring to. He was there to reveal things. He was not ultimately the path that you guys were walking down. Even though the negativity that appeared at that time appeared to be dragging you down, ultimately, you guys made it past, and now we are reaching the point and the window of open contact. So you have made it past vibrationally, physically, and come out stronger on the other end. This was the process that you need to go through from the fall of 2016 to now, which will lead into open contact, where you will be opened into the greater universe. Continue.
Are there not great changes on the horizon coming up that you can see already with your eyes? Have there not been the beginnings of certain changes going on in your social, political, and economic structures? The precursors of these things? The beginnings, the first dominoes? Have you not begun to see them?
Yes.
All right. Then just keep watching.
Okay. That sounds exciting.
Another thing that came about because of this time period is the war in Ukraine. It extinguishes the end of that energy of war that had been building up for many years. Many have lost their lives. Ultimately, this will help drive your world into a state where war is no longer a possibility or a desire for anyone to actually perceive or interact in. There may be small skirmishes, but never again on this level. Please continue.
Yes?
Yes. So we have about 20 minutes till 1, and so should I pick some other names? Please? Pretty please?
With
I will stop this at this time. I will take 2 questions. This conduit, this channel, cannot maintain the connection much longer. So I will take 2 questions.
So we have one question from Val. In 2020, interdimensional beings came to visit me. It was pretty intense. The interaction we had, do you have a symbol or a message from them and where they are from?
Imagine a green circle and wrapped in a green crystal on a black background. Imagine this connection and this symbol. And this will allow you to actually connect to them and speak to them yourself. Meditate on the symbol and the answers will come to you. One more question, please. Ultimately, these channelings, whether it's Bashar or any other channel that's coming through, this is ultimately just to teach you to become your own channel, your own guide, to how to connect to your own higher mind in such a way that you can become integrated, because that will facilitate the connection to us and also to many other species and the greater universe that you are part of. The Earth is much easier to get to than you believe. After this last question, we will deliver the message that was brought to the channel. If there is no more questions, please ask the question that we instructed you to give earlier.
Why are there so many channels?
The reason there are so many channels coming through from Sassani civilization, as you see it right now, whether it's Ryo, whether it's Bashar, Rohan, Ethan, which means ethereal, is because as we approach the idea of open contact, we are preparing you for the idea and the ability to connect and to be in vibrational harmony with what is to come. Each teacher, each conduit, has a different thing for each of you to learn from. This is preparation for all that listen to these transmissions. And it allows you to move forward in a much more rapid and cohesive way, so you are more in cohesion with yourself and everyone around you. And if there are no more questions, I will take my leave. This connection can no longer with the channel.
I do not see any further questions at this time.
That's way more intense than you think it is.
I wanted to say that at one point, the information that was coming through was so significant and there was so much energy that we're going to have to move the camera. I'm going to do this again.
Okay, good.
No, we're good. The energy was so overwhelming. I almost felt exaggerating. I was sitting there and I was kind of weeping. It was tremendous. It can be over.
Please thank Angelique for being such a great speaker today. I really appreciate her to be here with us today, because it's getting easier, but it's still a lot to take in from me, and I'm the one, and it's all coming through. So I thank you all. That's the time I was really wanted to end anyway. So
yeah, it worked out perfectly. The timing, of course.
It's great seeing y'all. We'll see you soon. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.